And I think that this is a game that defined Jalen Hurts as maybe a top-flight quarterback in this league. And I know it's easy to overreact when you see a game like this.
Welcome to Pond Lehocky. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Well, just a dominant performance by the Eagles on Monday Night Football. Welcome in, everybody, to the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show. I'm Mike Missinelli with Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner. Devin Caney will join us in a bit. Listen, I'm going to tell you, I don't give it up very easily. You guys know me. I don't give it up very easily.
Yeah. At
But I'm going to say it.
We've recovered
Jalen Hurts has now won me over, and I think that this is a game that defined Jalen Hurts as maybe a top-flight quarterback in this league. And I know it's easy to overreact when you see a game like this, but he did everything right today, except in the end with that interception. Was decisive, was accurate, really knew what he was doing out there. He won me over, boys.
Well, there's no question about it. His maturation has increased twofold. His poise under pressure, his ability to deliver. But let's start at the top. We have to give credit to Shane Steichen for calling an incredible game plan tonight. I go to the first drive of the game where they used 3 different rushers to run the football. They incorporated 4 different wide receivers in the passing game, and it continued that theme all night long. But Jalen Hurts is light years ahead of where he was just a season ago. Obviously, all this offseason work we've been talking about and hearing about from Jalen Hurts is starting to pay off. Under the bright lights of Monday night, he shined tonight.
It was impressive, Seth. I mean, we're watching the game, and they just outclassed this team tonight.
Well, I'm not surprised, guys. I mean, it was in my prediction, and I said last week that I saw enough when Jalen Hurts could operate from the pocket in a clean pocket that he operated extremely effectively and efficiently from the pocket. Now, they played against a team that wasn't a high-pressure team. They played against a team that was primarily a zone team. He took what was there. He operated within the scheme. He ran when he needed to. But this is the kind of improvement that we as fans and the media are looking for from this kid. And, you got to tip your hat to him for being able to realize that he needed to improve himself in the offseason and go seek that elsewhere. You got to tip your hat to the coaching staff to have, work with him with the little amount of time that they allotted to get him to where he is. This isn't one of those games where you say, they won big, but it was it was the Detroit Lions. No, the Minnesota Vikings took one of the best teams in the NFC apart last week, and the Eagles turned around tonight and took that same team, the Minnesota Vikings, completely apart.
Almost 500 yards of total offense, about 347, I think it was, in the first half. How dominant it was. They didn't even score in the second half and dominated the game, winning the game 24-7. Now, I will say that this was not the Vikings' best performance. In fact, they stunk out loud tonight. I mean, they had 4 chances, really, to get back in this game, and they squandered all 4 chances. Smith dropped a bomb early. Cousins was intercepted at the goal line on a miscommunication with Jefferson. The blocked field goal, which was supposed to give him some momentum. Siposs ran down Patrick Peterson on that, and they wound up not scoring, and then they don't score after the interception on that bungled screen pass in the middle of the field with the Slay interception. And Kirk Cousins, the demons of Monday Night Football. First of all, Gannon, I know early on in the game it looked like he was being soft, and he wasn't putting any pressure on Kirk Cousins. But then I think the game plan really evolved where he said, okay, this is the way we're going to play you. You're not going to hurt us this way. And then, Seth, he had some well-timed blitzes there. Cousins was 2 for 10 when they blitzed him. And by the way, he's now 2 for 10 on Monday Night Football, Kirk Cousins.
So the old saying in baseball, if you build it, they'll come. With Kirk Cousins, if you pressure him, he'll throw it to you. It's plain and simple. I mean, there were other balls that should have been intercepted because you know what? When you put a guy like Kirk Cousins under the microscope and you put him under pressure, It's his one Achilles heel. We had a quarterback like that last week in Jared Goff. Had we just brought the pressure the way we did tonight, that game would have been over in the third quarter. Now, I don't know whether Jonathan Gannon looked at the situation throughout the first half and asked himself, is Darius Slay really holding up against this elite wide receiver? And then in the third quarter, he was like, oh, yes, he is holding up against this elite receiver. So now I'm not worried about anybody else on this offense. That means I can bring pressure. And for once, I mean, he brought pressure 2 plays in a row, and I was screaming for him to bring it the third, you know. But it changes the outcome of the game. They've been looking for sacks, and they've been looking for turnovers, whatever it is that they can get. And they got them tonight because pressure. Pressure changes everything.
Gunner.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson, not a factor tonight. How did they pull it off?
Well, basically, you know, we've been screaming about Jonathan Gannon playing soft coverage. But give the corners their credit. Man, they came up, they anticipated well. Darius Slay, he might have made the Pro Bowl on this one game tonight alone because you hold Justin Jefferson under 50 yards receiving. You've more than done your job. You had 2 picks. He didn't get deep on you. You kept everything in front of him. You thoroughly frustrated him, you know, and they got just enough pressure on Kirk Cousins to make him throw the ball a little bit sooner at times than he wanted to. And anytime they tried to use Irv Smith on a crossing route, whether it was the linebacker, James Bradbury, whoever the case, they were step for step. They took the tight end out of the game as well. But when you match up against a Justin Jefferson, and you can do what Darius Slay did against him tonight, you have more than done your job. So kudos. Can we get off Gannon's back for one night? Can we get off his back just for one night?
No, I'm going to stay there.
Just tonight. No, just tonight.
Listen, I'm going to stay there because what I don't want him to do is I don't want him to revert no matter what the circumstances are.
Right.
Because he's going to face Carson and the Commanders next week.
Right.
And guess what? The pressure applies to Carson as well. If you let him stand in the pocket and he feels comfortable, he's going to make some plays. Speed up his clock, speed up his decision-making. Allow your cornerbacks. Now, listen, the linebackers covered well, even T.J. Edwards, who was not really known as a cover linebacker. How many pass defenses did he have tonight?
Right.
Okay, so if my point is your defenders, your players, take on the persona and the personality of the defense coordinator. When you call an aggressive game, your players play more aggressively. If you call a passive game, guess what? They sit back and they wait for stuff to happen instead of making stuff happen.
Here's the reason, only reason why I said get off of Gannon's back tonight.
I agree with you, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm not on him tonight.
You kept.
I'm not on him, but I ain't gonna let up.
You're talking about Washington next week already.
I said one game. I just said one game. You kept this high-powered offense under 300 yards of offense. You kept Justin Jefferson, one of the elite receivers in the game, under 50 yards receiving.
Yeah.
The leading rusher for the Minnesota Vikings was your quarterback, Kirk Cousins, who's not known for running the football. That defense more than did his job for this one night. Now, we don't know what's going to happen 6 days from now. But just in this moment in time, I got to get on the Gannon wagon for just one night. One night. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you. So let's talk about soft shell defenses. Seth, you got to explain this to me. Now, Ed Donatel has been a defensive coordinator in this league for a really long time. The Vikings did not adjust at all. They stayed in the soft shell the whole time. They were getting blasted with the soft shell defense. I got to ask you, were they so worried about what Jalen Hurts did last week as far as breaking out of the pocket that they stayed soft?
I don't think this is who they are under Ed Donatel. You know, they're going to play 2 high safeties because they don't want to give up the big play. And so you've got some choices to make depending on what kind of front they're in. If they're in a 4-man front, then you run the football. If they're in a 5-man front, that means that they have effectively exited one cover guy out of coverage, which means that you can have just about anything you want in the passing game if you can stand up against the 5-man pressure. Now, sometimes you got to keep a tight end in to do that, but when your line is blocking the way the Eagles' offensive line blocked tonight, then you can go man-on-man across the board and really make some hay. But what they want to do is they're primarily a zone coverage team. They're not going to play a whole lot of zone. The only time they really get in man, the only time they get in man is when they're bringing pressures, when they blitz, or every once in a while in a game where you see them run man-to-man coverage against the Green Bay Packers last week. They came out the first play of the game. Aaron Rodgers throws the ball. The Watson kid drops it. I mean, he just runs right by Patrick Peterson. At that point in time, Ed Donatell's like, you know what? We ain't going man-to-man no more. We're playing zone the rest of the day. And that's the way they play. And he's not gonna change. We've seen that picture before, you know, but our guy today all of a sudden figured out a way that he figured he was gonna be aggressive today, where Ed Donatell took on the passive nature, and then that's what you see. Passivity doesn't win you football games ever.
Well called game. I give Shane Steichen credit because I think you read the tea leaves in this game. I assumed that the Eagles were going to run the football primarily coming into this game based on what Green Bay, what they did last week against Green Bay. But the Eagles did not run the ball. Instead, they attacked with Jalen Hurts with that soft cover zone, and he was just pinpoint accurate on every one of his throws.
He only missed on 5 throws tonight and threw for 333 yards. I think that's a complete night. You want to talk about balance. They had 34 rushing attempts, 31 passing attempts.
Yes.
Last week it was, 39 pass, 32 rush.
Yes.
2 games in a row in the span of 8 days. That's the kind of balance you need from this team. And because they had so many weapons, it just wasn't an A.J. Brown show tonight like it was last week. He hit 8 different receivers in this game tonight. And in many cases, these receivers are running wide open. They have 5-6 yard cushions when they caught the pass and turned up the field. So what else do we want from this offense? This offense is I'm going to use the word lethal. This offense is lethal right now, 2 games. And I know it's still 2 games into the season. You hope they stay healthy. You got to stay healthy to be as effective as this offense has been over the first 2 games. But right now, I put this offense in a very lethal category. This offense, the way Shane Steichen calls these plays, is going to be heck for teams to deal with for the rest of this season.
My only concern as far as this offense is concerned, gentlemen, is when you face a team that's pressure adverse, like the Detroit Lions were last week, can they make the adjustments in game? Because they didn't seem to be able to make the in-game adjustments where they could pick up the blitz and hit some big plays, nor did they have the sight adjustment. Now, D-Gun, we talked about it last week.
Yes.
You know, when the pressure came, Jalen just took off and ran. And a lot of people were talking about, where's the sight adjustment?
Yes.
How come, he didn't hit the guy that's breaking off the route? And my thing was, Mike, okay, we assume that it's built into their offense that they have side adjustments built in, because sometimes I didn't see the wide receivers break the routes off and him, hurry up and get it out of his hand. They just thought that they could pick it up and that he would, navigate the pocket and make the throw. So as we move forward, teams are not going to just sit back and let Jalen Hurts do what he's doing.
Right.
The more advanced defensive coordinators, they're going to bring pressure. They're going to give him different looks, and he's going to have to decipher things at the line of scrimmage. It's not going to be as easy going forward for him as it was tonight.
Really interesting they got Devontae Smith involved with the first play. I thought that was smart. You get him going after last week, and then you spread it around from there. And I'm trying to look at a flaw in this game, and I'm watching the game, and I can't believe the dominance of this game.
I got a flaw for you.
You're going to give me a flaw?
No, come on, Seth.
You already gave me a flaw. You're a little worried about Gannon still. I get it.
Listen, see, now you're putting words in my mouth. You guys want me to jump on the Gannon wagon. I'm not ready to jump on it after one game. I'm from the Missouri State. You got to show me more than once, okay? But listen, there's no negativity. I mean, this game, you couldn't ask for the Eagles as a team to play any better than they have. But I think you all will agree with me. The Philadelphia Eagles need a punt and a kick returner. I'm sorry.
Yes, I agree there.
Now,
I agree.
Now the blocking,
I agree with you
blocking has to be better. But listen, Quez Watkins doesn't want any. He don't want any of that kick return, man. I mean, he gets the ball and he's just standing still like, y'all hurry up and tackle me.
Threw him up.
So
they kicked it short and high all game long. Threw him off a little bit. I think it took away his swagger a little bit.
Catch the ball and run straight ahead, okay? That's what a kick returner does. Pick a lane and go, okay? The longer you stand there, the worse it's going to be for you. Now, Covey,
You're not a big Covey fan?
Listen, Covey's going to catch the ball. He's going to feel the ball.
Yeah.
But he's not going to give you a whole lot. And everybody's like, oh, well, give him a chance.
You want the other guy back?
No, I don't want the other guy back. They can have him.
Listen,
they can have him. So, but my question is, is it the return guys or is it the blocking that they're getting? But in their kick return game, that's the one area of this football team that's extremely weak and lacking.
By the way, Jalen Reagor, I felt sorry for the kid all night.
Why?
Why are they booing that young man?
They booed
Why are
him
you
all
booing? What
night.
did he do to them?
Hey, listen, when I came back to Philly for the first time, they booed the hell out of me.
Yeah, but
what
he
you talking about?
didn't ask to be traded. What did that young man do to these people?
He didn't perform up to the expectations
Okay, but he's
that was
gone now.
laid upon him.
He's gone now.
But this
You
is
a boo.
Philadelphia.
Come
Hey, listen,
on, man.
If they boo Santa Claus, you think they ain't gonna
Oh,
boo
don't
Jalen
bring
Ramsey?
up,
Stop
don't bring
it,
up
man.
Santa Claus, man.
Not his fault. But
Leave
they made
Santa
a
Claus
mistake
out of this.
selecting
Come
him,
on,
and he's
man.
not very good. Just the one thing I'm like, how does a punter run down a cornerback?
Oh man,
who picks up that play and looks like he's going to score?
So you
and
weren't-
the punter runs him down.
He wasn't in pregame with us, D-Gun. I told you.
You're Patrick Peterson. You're not a fan of Patrick Peterson.
I don't understand. Listen, he was a great player for a long time. If I was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles tonight, I would have targeted him at least 20 times tonight. Because you know what? He's at the end of his career, and he really believes that he's still in the prime of his career. And then there's nothing wrong with that because, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't have confidence as a player, you don't have anything. But the truth of the matter is, you know, he let a punter run him down, and he's a corner.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know what? Sippers may be an average punter, but he's got world-class speed tracking people down.
He does now.
He does. I don't think I've ever seen that in the history of the NFL where a punter's going to run down.
Well,
the
we've
guy
seen,
who's
we've
playing
seen
to score.
kickers blow up returners on occasion.
but not tracking him down from
Anything
behind.
can happen.
All right, I guess. All right, so now we've seen two games, and we saw a bad opponent. This was supposed to be a good opponent. Did the Eagles make them look bad, or are the Vikings not very good, Seth?
No, listen, the Vikings, I believe the Vikings are who they are. I think that, you know, Justin Jefferson is a superstar. I believe that Dalvin Cook is, you know, in the top 5 of running backs in the league.
Did not look like he wanted to play tonight.
Well,
though.
hey, listen, the Eagles defensive line made up their mind.
Jumped on him.
They weren't going to allow him to get started. I talked about it in pregame. I said, in order for you to rush the passer, you have to earn the right. How do you earn the right? You earn the right by shutting down the run and making that team one-dimensional. Now you can get after them any way that you want to. And listen, the Eagles defense didn't play well this last game, the first game of the season. And from everything that I could hear in press conferences and interviews throughout the week, they were very self-aware that, yes, we got away with one. We won last week, but it wasn't the way that we wanted to win. The way that they dominated tonight is the way that they want to win football games. And trust me, the way that you win so oftentimes is as important as how you win, okay? It just is.
Let me take you back to what we watched the game together, and we have all kinds of decent insights. I guess, like, I'm Andy Reid because they're up 21-7, and they've got the ball deep in their territory, and I'm thinking they're just going to be content to go into halftime at 21-7, which I would have been okay with. You're screaming and yelling because Jalen's lollygagging a play, wasting a lot of seconds, and they still come down and get 3 out of that.
Listen, you got a minute and 39 seconds left in the half and 3 timeouts, okay? After watching football yesterday and seeing all the teams that came back from double-digit, deficits, I didn't want to leave anything to chance. If you got an opportunity to score points, then score points. When you watch the Kansas City Chiefs, what do they do?
Keep scoring.
They'll take 50 seconds left on the clock,
That's right.
and they're at least trying to get in field goal range. It's not the game. Anything can happen. Anything can happen in a game. One play can turn a game on its head. So you better be scoring points until you know for certain. And a lot of times that's not until the last 3 to 4 minutes left in the game. You want to be scoring points all the way through. You don't want to give the other team not one iota of hope that they can come back and win the football game.
And obviously they weren't going to come back and win this game. And if I'm a Viking fan, and I'm sick to my stomach watching that team squander 4 chances to try to get back in the game.
Yeah.
Gifts they were given.
Yeah. Vikings came out in the second half, took it down the field, turned the ball over. They block a kick, get a short field, turn the ball over. All right? They go down the field again, turn the ball over.
And that was the only thing that could have got them back in the game. Plays
Absolutely.
like that.
Absolutely.
And they just didn't take advantage of anything.
I don't think you could have written a more perfect script for the Eagles on both sides of the football tonight. They won a game, and we broke them down last week because of what they didn't do to win that game by a wider margin. Well, they came out like they had been yelled at all week long, like parents yelling at kids. And I told you on the pregame show, I guarantee you Jeff Stoutland chewed them out for 8 days getting ready to this game. I guarantee you Jonathan Gannon heard all the noise coming around the tri-state region about his soft defense and not being more aggressive and more physical. I guarantee you the players have talked about this leading up to this game tonight, and they came out with a different attitude, a different motivation, a different purpose, and they accelerated right from the opening jump, and they didn't let up. But you're right. They sat on a certain point lead, Mike, and they didn't add any more points, and I'm thinking they're going to let Minnesota back in this game. But they did not let up. One iota.
I'll tell you, man. And I want to thank Adam Thielen for showing up tonight. I mean,
in the fourth quarter,
he didn't have a target until late in the game. He was invisible. Is he done?
But that's what we were talking about. You know, is Minnesota that bad, or are the Eagles just that good? Now, I'm going to give all the credit to the Eagles, but I also want to look at what Minnesota has become. Minnesota has become the Justin Jefferson show. And until Kirk Cousins begins to spread the ball around, good teams are going to figure out a way to take Justin Jefferson away. If you got an elite level cornerback that can cover like Darius Slay, or if you make up your mind as a defensive coordinator that you're going to double him at every turn and you're going to take him out of the game, then where's Kirk Cousins going to go? Because all his focus, and I'm not sure that it's just him, it might be game plan. They're focusing on Justin Jefferson. They've got to balance their offense up more to take some of the pressure off of Justin Jefferson. And that pressure off of him will make things better for Kirk Cousins.
All right, your final is 24-7 tonight in a one-sided game. And the people that were down at Lincoln Financial must have had a tremendous time with that game, because that's a lot of fun when a team just demolishes the opponent and weren't even in it. So you know what's inevitable now. That dominant performance is going to have people, this fan base, thinking that this could be a very special year. Seth, in the second game of the year, you know people are thinking SB.
And listen,
Super Bowl. You know they're going to talk about it.
The Eagles are 2-0. Okay, what better position can you be in? You played 2 games, you won 2 games. Now, it's a week-by-week thing. It's going to be a different set of circumstances every single week. But this is Philadelphia, and our expectations are going to grow. As long as they keep winning, and they keep winning in this fashion, our expectations are going to grow. Our job is to be excited about the team that's on the field. Their job is to show up each and every week and prepare for each and every proponent individually for the next,
15 games.
15 games, okay, and see where the chips fall. You know, and you have no control over anything but showing up each and every week and putting in the work and preparing yourself for each and every team, trying to win as many games as you can to get the best slot that you can in the tournament at the end of the year.
You know, this is a weird stat. The Eagles have not been 2-0 at the start of the season since 2016.
Oh, Carson Wentz's first year.
Yes.
Wow.
And they get him next week.
That's going to be interesting. Because like Seth said, one thing we know about Carson Wentz, you hit him a few times, you especially come up the middle and put pressure on him, you could have a repeat of what we saw from Kirk Cousins tonight.
All right, we got a lot to talk about on this show, and we're going to go deep into the night. Again, we're live from the Ocean Casino Resort, and you can see behind us the great gallery bar booking games. We're going to have Lane Johnson, Devin Caney's going to join us. You stay right there. I know it's late. Hang in there with us. It is the Eagles Pond Lehocky Postgame Show, live right here from Ocean Casino on JAKIB Sports. Back after this.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.